We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, entitled Manifestation of Brahma from Vishnu. We're on text 7. It's July 27th, 2025. So this is Canto 3, Chapter 8, text 7. Rayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, to Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utamashloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Both of those texts are from the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There's really a series of 19 verses, and practically all of them Prabhupada refers to regularly. It's text 4 to 22, and those are the first one is text 4, Narayan Namaskritya, and the other one is text 18, Nasta Price for Bhadreshu. There's many verses in the Bhagavatam that glorify the Bhagavatam. Many verses. We'll start with the word meanings. Poktam, Kila, Etat, Bhagavatamena, Nivriti, Dharma Abhirataya, Tena, Sanat Kumaraya, Sa, Cha, Aha, Prishta, Sankhya Yanaya, Anga, Drita Vrataya. Okay. So, yeah, we're good. Let's go. Poktam kilai tad bhagavatamena. Nivriti dharma pirataya tena. Sanat Kumaraya Sachaha Prishta. Sankhya Yanayanga Drita Vrataya. Oktam Kilaitad Bhagavatamanena. Nivriti Dharma Birataya Tena. Sanat Kumaraya Sachaha Prishta. Sankhya Yanayanga Drita Vrataya. Oktam Kilaitad Bhagavatamena. Nivriti Dharma Birataya Tena. Sanat Kumaraya Cha Sa Chaha Prishta. Sankhya Yanayanga Drita Vrataya. Oktam Kilaitad Bhagavatamena. Nivriti Dharma Birataya Tena. Sanat Kumaraya Sachaha Prishta. Sankhayana Yanga Drita Vrataya.
Proktam Kilaita Bhagavatamena.
Proktam Kilaitad Bhagavatamena.
Nivritti Dharma Viratayatena.
Nivritti Dharma Piratayatena.
Sanat Kumarai Sa Chaha Prishta.
Sanat Kumaraya Sachaha Prishta.
Sankaya Yananga Drita Vritaya.
Sankhayana Yanga Drita Vrataya. Would anyone online like to lead the chanting of the verse? Okay, we'll look at the word meanings. Proktam was said. Kila certainly. Etat this. Bhagavatamena by Lord Sankarshan. Nivritti renunciation. Dharma abhirataya. Unto one who has taken this religious vow. Tena. By him. Sanat Kumaraya. Unto Sanat Kumar. Sa. He. Cha. Also. Aha. Said. Prishta. When inquired of. Sankhyayanaya. Unto the great sage Sankhayana. Anga. My dear Vidura. Drita Vrataya. Unto one who has taken such a vow. Translation. Lord Sankarshan thus spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumar, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumar also, in his turn, when inquired of by Sankyayan Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshan. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumar, the well-known great saintly Kumar, was in the perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshan. Similarly, when he was questioned by Sankyayan Rishi, he spoke to him the same message he had heard from Lord Sankarshan. In other words, unless one hears from the proper authority, one cannot become a preacher. In devotional service, therefore, 2 items out of the 9, namely hearing and chanting, are most important. Without hearing nicely, one cannot preach the message of Vedic knowledge. Omanganatammirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vadan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatayubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, Text 7, Proktam Kilaitad Bhagavatamena Nivriti Dharma Pirataya Tena Sanat Kumaraya Sachaha Prishta Sankyayana Yanga Dvita Vrataya. Lord Sankarshan thus spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumar, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumar also in his turn, when inquired of by Sankayan Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshan. Hare Krishna. Okay, so it's described here, Sanat Kumar had already taken the vow of renunciation. In terms of like Vedic ashrams, that's technically it's called sannyas. Sannyas means to renounce, to renounce. Yas, to give up here. The term also the nivriti, renunciation. Okay. Okay, so typically, standardly, okay, there's 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. Varnas is like career divisions, occupational divisions. And this is described in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur 4, Chatur Vida Bhajante Mam. So Atapumbir Dvija Shrestas Varnashrama Vibhagasha Sunustitasya Dharmasa Samsadir Haritoshana Chaturvarnam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. That's Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter. Tasyakartam Apimam Vijakartam Avyayam. Okay, so 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. The varnas occupational divisions. There's the Sudras and the Vaishyas and the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas. So 4 occupations. This is Vedic social science. And then there's 4 ashrams. There's 4 ashrams. And then and there's like the student life, brahmachari, and then there's typically there's like married life. It's like an ashram, and then typically, standardly, they get about age 50, and then there's what's called vanaprastha, like beginning to renounce, and then typically at like 75 years there would be the sannyasa ashram. Now it's kind of ironic here, because Sanat Kumar, he's in the form of a naked 5-year-old boy. So he's in that renounced order. So there's like the form of the 4 varnashram, and then there's the essence of it, and then there's the essence of it. Interesting. Actually, Ramachandra Prabhu's here. I'm reminded of my days in the Middle East with the Druze, and yeah, so the Druze, they're actually the Wahedu, the eternal Dharma, eternal religion. But yeah, they're actually, well, we discovered they're actually a transplanted Vedic sect, transplanted to the Middle East, who kind of pretend to be an unorthodox sect of Islam to avoid persecution. But they've got, yeah, I remember once I was in a Druze home distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, and it was a school principal, maybe in his mid-50s, and I myself, I was in my late 20s. So we're different phases of life. And yeah, and he was just talking like without any prompt from me. He said, and he specifically said, he at 50 years old, he retired at 50 from his school principal, 50 years old, time to retire and focus more fully on spiritual life and God and like that. So this was multiple times daily we had these occurrences where in the Druze villages they would come up with things like just like exactly Srimad Bhagavatam, because that's their culture and they actually know it. We have a book about those stories, Krishna, Israel, and the Druze, an interreligious odyssey. We've even shown like, the Katha Upanishad that Srila Prabhupada quotes in this 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There's the allegory of the horses representing the senses and the chariot of the body. We reveal or the chaining bodies, and we'd show things to them, they'd say, "Who revealed all these secrets to you? Who revealed all these secrets to you?" So they concluded that we are actually Jews from India. It's actually their conclusion.
Because they received the most confidential knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah, right, right. And so, yeah. Hello, Josie, welcome. Yeah, so typically, yeah, so there's the form and the essence, and the idea is that the form serves the essence, and not that the form distracts from the essence, and not that the form distracts from the essence. So the essence, as like Krishna described, he talks about sannyas. First verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We were there in our Bhagavad Gita discussion in recent weeks. So Krishna, he talks about sannyas, or sannyasi. He said the essence of sannyas is not to give up this, give up that, stop working. No, the essence of sannyas is to give up the enjoying spirit. That's the essence. Well, at least that begins to get to the essence. It's not the full essence. So it's not just like, oh, I'm renounced, I'm giving up this money, I'm going to the forest, right? It was Arjuna's idea is I'll be spiritual, I'll take sannyas, I'll go to the forest. Then as he got enlightened in the discussion of Bhagavad Gita, he more and more he realized that his spiritual life was pick up your bow and fight, and he killed so many people. Of course, they all got liberation because they were seeing Krishna as they got killed. Janmalabha Prabhum Samante Narayana Smriti, to be absorbed in the holy name of God, the holy name of Krishna at the time of death. That's the perfection of human life. So we get to practice in this lifetime to chant the verses of Bhagavatam, to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then that transcendental divine sound vibration is so deep within us that then even at that most disturbing time of death, the soul's leaving the body, all the senses and the bodily systems are all disrupted, sources of lots of pain. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we get to practice. And of course, in Bhakti Yoga, the journey is the goal. Yes, the goal is to be absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna at the time of death. So let me practice. So that is the goal. That is the goal, to be in service. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that here. In devotional service, therefore, 2 items out of the 9, namely hearing and chanting, are most important. Out of the 9 refers to some teachings from Prahlad Maharaj, 7th canto, 5th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam. He describes 9 categories of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Dedanam. 9 categories, and Iti Pushparpita Vishnu, Bhaktischan Navalakshana, Kriyata Bhagavat Yada, Tanmanyeti Tam Uttamam, and that the great sagely devotees engage in these 9 types of devotional service. And so like one type is Archana. So Bhakti Rosa was here early this morning, you're opening the altar, cleaning the altar of little critters and things like that. No, that was an unexpected part of the service. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, different spirit souls attracted to these great personalities. So yeah, so it's called Archana, deity worship. And I know like my engagement in Archana is sub minimal. I mean, we minimal on a good day. So it's not so much what we focus on. And some followers of Prabhupada, some devotees of Krishna, deity worship. They're very absorbed, very absorbed there in different ways. One comes to mind. There's Vrinda Sundari and Tushta Krishna Prabhu's in Denver. They're like I know Tushta, he's up at like 3 a.m. doing deity worship for like hours before he chants his japa. And there's a real potency there. I've written to Sundari also meditating on Sri Sri Radha Govinda like that. So it's like that. So there's different categories. And the foundational devotional service, Shravanam Kirtan, hearing and chanting. And hearing and chanting, and so the whole process is to develop a taste for hearing and chanting. And so we sometimes say, so to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it's a prayer, and it's simultaneously the answer to the prayer. Because the essential mood, please Krishna, please Srila Prabhupada, engage me in your service. That's the mood. It's not just some mechanical blah, blah, blah. That's the heartfelt mood. Please engage, that's the meaning. Please engage me in your service. And the foundational service we get to do is to chant Hare Krishna. So it's a prayer and the answer to the prayer. And then, of course, we need to, like in any relation, we need to be careful what we ask for. So that's even more true with Krishna. We need to really be careful, because I really want to serve you. So then we'll find that just this abundance of service opportunities comes our way, and it becomes a whole plague of service opportunities. And yes.
I wouldn't know what that means.
Yeah.
A lot of service.
Okay. Yeah. So my hope is I'm not just talking abstractly. What's he talking about? Yeah, that's the idea. And that's the idea. So a devotee is a vyarta kalatvam, not interested to waste a moment outside of the service of Krishna. And then we find there's if that's really what we want, then we can easily engage ourselves 24 hours per day. 24 hours per day. And then we wishing there was at least 72 hours in a day to do service for Srila Prabhupada's movement. Sometimes Prabhupada, before taking rest, he would say, now I'm going to waste time. We want, so, meaning of course, for a pure devotee of Krishna like Srila Prabhupada, that's why we use the term taking rest. It's not just sleeping in complete ignorance like me. Okay. He's fully conscious. The dreams are about Krishna and service. And even the idea of, okay, let's rest the body to get to use the body in Krishna's service, keep it healthy. Everything's in Krishna's service. Still in his humility, he said, I'm going to sleep now, and 2 hours a night or something. It's a waste of time. That's his humble perspective. So, and then that's it, in an organic way. The idea is that as we deepen our enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness and develop a taste for hearing and chanting, and then from that, then an enthusiasm for expanding our service more and more, that naturally emerges in the heart as the natural love for Krishna that's in the heart emerges. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajika Bunoi, Shravanade Shuddhachitte Karye Udai. Love of Krishna is naturally situated in the hearts of all living entities, and it's naturally awakened when through this hearing and chanting, Shravanadi Shuddhachitte Karye Udai. And then we want to serve more and more, and then naturally, in a way that's healthy and balanced, we want to reduce involvement in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, like that. Now, if we do it artificially, then it'll probably backfire. It'll probably backfire, which I guess I'll be like Srila Prabhupada and just 6 Goswamis. I'll just sleep 2 hours per night. Then we might find, okay, after a few days we're just sick. Then we can't do anything for 2 months because we made ourselves sick or something like that. It's I'm so spiritual. So it's about knowing ourselves and from where we're at, things like that. So the essence of sannyas, the essence of renunciation, it's not it's not intrinsically about I'll give up my house, I'll give up my bank account, I'll go to the forest. It's about giving up the enjoying spirit. And it could be ironic, but giving up the idea of my goal of life is for this body, these bodily senses, or this material ego, this material mind to enjoy. I'll do my God project. I'll be this and give up that enjoying spirit and transfer that energy to serve Krishna's senses. Sarva Pari Vinir Muktam Tat Parat Vena Nimalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uttama. A name for Krishna is Rishikesh, master of the senses. So to please Krishna's senses. And we know how to do that by someone who's a master at it. That's our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So we please Prabhupada, then we're pleasing Krishna's senses. And so hearing and chanting is the foundational service. And then naturally because the nature of the soul, actually no, on Tuesday we have a coach training, PPTC, Principles and Practice of Transformative Coaching. And then the theme is dependence, independence, and interdependence. In psychology, recent decades, codependency, in very common terms, dependency, codependency. And so there's going to be a theme as it relates to transformative coaching. And so the idea to not be dependent, not be attached, not be dependent. So the problem there is that's impossible. It's the nature of the soul to be dependent, just like it's the nature of the soul to serve, to seek happiness, to seek knowledge, to seek eternity. Our choice is whether to be dependent on matter, and then we become slaves to the senses and the needs for approval. There's a quote by the writer Thomas Wolfe, author of Bonfire of the Vanities and things like that. And he says that you have reached the pinnacle of success as soon as you are uninterested in money, popularity, or compliments. So it's another way to say detached from profit, adoration, and distinction in Vedic terms, right? So we can be attached to matter or spirit, completely unattached. It's not our nature. Attached to spirit means I'm attached to serving Krishna. I'm attached to bhakti yoga. And it's non-sectarian. If someone's parampara is Jesus, I'm attached to pleasing Jesus, and my material senses might be pleased or not pleased. And then the irony is anandamayo abhyasa, that we transfer the propensity from I'll enjoy, then I'll be happy. And that's always the illusion. Ishvaraham, ham bogi, siddham, balavan, sukhi, I'm perfect, powerful, happy. We should let me make Krishna happy. Then we experience bliss. Because our nature is to be blissful, and we are secondary enjoyers. An analogy for that is like, okay, let's say it's the nature for the mother. It's the nature for the mother to be happy and satisfied. At the same time, let's say when the mother sees her child eating with gusto a nice meal, she's more satisfied than if she herself is enjoying her plate of food. She's more satisfied. So our nature is to be blissful. It's not like spiritual life be miserable. Our nature is to be blissful. And by directing that propensity towards expanding the bliss of Krishna, then we naturally experience bliss that's not available in any shadow material enjoyment. So that's the essence of sannyas, the essence of renunciation, to renounce the enjoying spirit. It's not intrinsically about giving up anything external. It is about seeing that whether it's the money in the bank account or these arms or these eyes, it's really not just that I'm not the body, but it's not even my body. It belongs to Krishna. Let me use it for Krishna's service. Utility is the principle, Prabhupada would say. And that the Sanskrit term is yukta vairagya. It's not a false renunciation. It's learning the art and science of how to engage everything, including this mind, these relationships, the capacity to communicate, the house, the money, the community relationships, the propensity for music, the propensity for eating, engage it all in Krishna service, and then give up the idea of I'll be happy in any material sense, and then ironically the soul experiences bliss. And so so it's described that the Kumara is headed by Sanat Kumar. They're absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, although they had already taken the vow of renunciation. Prabhupada terms it, this is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumar, the well-known great saintly Kumar, was in the perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshan. Perfect stage of life, okay, that indicates self-realized, no material interest, no material, no illusory desires, no desires based on the false conception that I'm this body and I'll be happy by satisfying the body or the material ego with respect or bodily enjoyment, sense gratification. So it's said similar because this Bhagavatam is spoken by Shukadev Goswami, so their histories are somewhat similar. Shukadev Goswami and the four Kumaras. Described about Shukadev Goswami also. Apmaramaschumunayo nirgranti apyurukrame kravantehe tukim bhaktimitam butokuno hari. Shukadev Goswami, completely on the liberated platform. They described he was 16-year-old boy, young man. So and described actually his features are described as extraordinarily attractive features there in 19th chapter of the first canto. Extraordinarily attractive features. And he was just he was just wandering around, and he had village women and children following him, and just no material desires. He was truly liberated. So he's not interested in any mundane subjects, and then he becomes attracted to hear about Mother Yashoda and Krishna, the gopis, and their romantic exchanges with Krishna, the cowherd boys and Krishna. So it's just like, well, if he has no materials, why is he just reading these stories about a boy and romance? What is it? Okay. So that's evidence, that's proof that the pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're not material. They're made of different energy altogether. They're made of different energy altogether. Same with the Kumaras. If they're already in the perfect stage, liberated from material illusion, why are they attracted to the Bhagavatam? Because the Bhagavatam, there's so many stories and pastimes, adventures and chivalry and romance and amazing pastimes that, in terms of their epic proportions, they just put anything that's ever come out of Hollywood to shame. Okay, but just that's actually, as we go on in this canto, we'll read about the appearance of Lord Varahadev. So there's the four-headed chief engineer of the universe, and one fine day in his breathing, a little pig comes out of his nose. I'm not making this stuff up, but that's the point. I couldn't make this stuff up. And then the pig expands to enormous proportions. And okay, yeah, so yeah, just far out than anything out of Hollywood. Like it pales and that, because so like a little pig comes out of the engineer of the universe. So who could believe that? But then for me, it's the other way around. Because like if we're hearing about the activities, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it makes sense. For me, it makes sense that it would be far more wild and galactically out of the box than anything I could conceive or some, movie script writer could conceive. That actually makes sense. There's in the early days of Srila Prabhupada's movement, there was Allen Ginsberg. So he was a big intellectual of the beatnik hippie scene. He was like an intellectual leader. And it was known as like the poet of the age for the anti-establishment movement. And so he had already some experience going to India. And so he saw Swamiji on the streets and he was interested. So he befriended Prabhupada. And then he was famous, well known. And so he was speaking about the Krishna consciousness and the kirtan, and he was speaking to the news, but not so much the mainstream, but the alternative publications. And at one point he said, this Krishna consciousness is more far out than any acid trip I've ever taken. So like you had like millions of hippies like, oh, more far out than any acid trip Allen Ginsberg has ever taken. I need to do this. So he was, Krishna inspired him. He played a big role in expanding the movement, of Srila Prabhupada's movement. And and so to transfer, because we're going to hear and chant, we're going to glorify someone in politics or sports or entertainment or some professor or in some field of activity, we're going to glorify. So to transfer the propensity for hearing and chanting, to transfer that to Krishna and Krishna's devotees, then we develop a taste for that, and then more and more, that's more and more. That's all we want to do. We want to Shravanam Kirtanam. Now we can think of kirtan as like we have kartals and mridanga and singing Hare Krishna. That's kirtan. Essentially, kirtan means like to describe the glories, means to glorify. And so like right now, to whatever extent I'm being successful in representing Bhagavatam and glorifying Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, this is kirtan. A lecture on Bhagavad Gita is kirtan. I know I've told the story in these classes. There was Prabhupada came to one of the small centers, and Prabhupada would get up at like 1 a.m. and dictate his Bhaktivedanta purports. And then during the day, one of his followers would type them. And the small center in the day, the typing, you could hear the typing, old-fashioned typing, okay, the keys and things like that. And you could hear the typing. And so they came to Prabhupada and said, oh, is that disturbing for you? And Prabhupada said, oh, that typing, that's kirtan. It's not just like typing some news story or some Harlequin romance novel or something. It's typing Bhagavatam. Oh, that's kirtan, like that. So then, so that, and we're going to be attached to form, and we're going to be attached to fragrance, and we're going to be attached to service. We're going to serve something. As Bob Dylan said, you got to serve somebody. We're going to serve the Lord or serve Maya, Mammon, like that. So then, so the idea is like, so the Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanam Vidantastoya Bhadra Devi Dunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma supersoul and the heart of all living entities, personally cleanses the heart from material desire. For the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So as we chant and hear more and more in programs like this, then we develop a taste, and then that taste takes over our life. Then that taste, and that's we want to. Then that's what we become more and more enthusiastic to rise early. And Prabhupada gives, Prabhupada representing Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, Sri Upadeshamrita, there's the analogy of jaundice. And apparently, I had a little experience with jaundice, not with them, but both my children had jaundice when they were born. Like minor, but like they stayed in the hospital for 2 or 3 days or something. It was like a little thing. And it passed quickly. But apparently, someone with the disease of jaundice, um, 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 sweet things taste bitter. And then the cure is to eat sweet things. And then as you get cured, oh, it's tasting sweeter and sweeter. So to the extent that we're material conditioned, we've allowed the diamond self to be covered by dirt, dust, mud, conditioned by the modes of nature. Then the sweet names of Krishna, devotional service, it can feel bitter to the extent that we're attached to the conditioning. And then the cure is chant Hare Krishna, engage in service, rise early. And that's an austerity, because at first it might not be like pure ecstasy. And so, and at first can mean for the first few days, it could be for 40 years, or, we'll all have our pace and our stages. And so, but then the more we chant, and then the jaundice disease goes away, and then the soul's relishing the actual bliss of chanting, and then we want to share it, right? So like Srila Prabhupada, perfect in his chanting, and he was fine. He's in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan Dham. He's just in bliss and ecstasy, writing his books, but he's like, I have to share this. And so he takes all risks. And at the age of about 70, comes on the very non-luxurious freighter across the Atlantic. The Jaladuta has 2 heart attacks. It's because he wants to do kirtan. Okay. Shravanam, hearing. Srila Prabhupada several times would say his spiritual master marked, Prabhupada uses that term, marked him. That when Srila Prabhupada was young, let's say maybe in his 30s, and he had relatively few in-person, like physical interactions with his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. But when he did interact with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta would mark that boy because Bhakti Siddhanta is older, but because like he could see that this Abai, who got initiated in 1933 and became Abai. It was his father and mother named him Abai Charan, and then with the initiation with Bhakti Siddhanta to be Bhakti Siddhanta Abai Charan Haravinda. It's the same meaning, fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. And then and Bhakti Siddhanta noted that this boy Abai Charan, he really likes to hear. Even there was one episode that Prabhupada describes. A group was going to see a Sheshanaga deity in the Vrindavan area, and it's Archana, it's a wonderful service. And almost everyone went to see the deity, but Bhakti Siddhanta was giving a lecture that night or day, and Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Charan Haravinda, he decided to stay to hear the lecture. And very few stayed, but he said, I just want to hear from my spiritual master. And Prabhupada would sometimes say like, I didn't understand the philosophy. He would say, Bhakti Siddhanta, his philosophy was so elevated and intricate and sophisticated. I didn't understand it, but I just wanted to hear. He would say that in his humility. So Srila Prabhupada heard perfectly, and then his life is, and then he's doing kirtan, he's sharing, and that's why here we are in different parts of the world, hearing Bhagavatam. Otherwise, no one here grew up knowing what Bhagavatam is like that. And so to hear and chant, and I'll close with this is a very nice, not very nice experience just yesterday night. So it's fresh and it relates to that. So honestly, it's maybe a little after 8 at night and the doorbell rings. And I'm in my office. The doorbell rings a little after 8. Okay, and so I go, and it's Mahanandini. I don't know if you know Mahanandini, maybe okay. So just very very sweet Vaishnavi lady, and her twin sister is Lajadoya. At first, I wasn't sure it was Lajadoya. Yeah. But I was able to tell. So you're Mahanandini. I got it after 33 years. I'm able to.
But when they shut together, it's like.
Yeah, then. I actually know Lajadoya since 1992. Mahanandini lived since a little bit later. And anyhow, so she's just very sweet. And she says, dear Govinda Prabhu, do you have a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita? So I'm just like, Srila Prabhupada sent me someone who wants, it's an opportunity to do kirtan, to distribute Chaitanya. So I said, it so happens, I do.
Awesome.
I said, come on in, it's in the garage. So it's in, so she offered obeisances and I get Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then she says, do you have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam? And so I said, well, it so happens I do. And I had it right here. I had like the red set in a box. He said, no. I said, oh, you want the colorful set? He said, yeah, that's the one. I said, I think I have one, and I wasn't sure. So I went to the garage. There. I had one left of them. And so and then a few minutes later, Lajadoya showed up. So it was both of them. And we were talking about Prabhupada's books and reading and distributing them. So it was just, there, but Prabhupada's mercy on me to get to, because I was in my office doing that and that, but not real focused. So, and so I was glad, I was glad that somehow I had the devotional intelligence to keep stock, because again, the best service. We talked about 9 categories of devotional service. The best service is that service that's done with sincere love and devotion. Okay, because sometimes aspiring devotees can be like, my service is the best. Well, and there's a pastime that a rich business magnate came and wrote like a check for thousands of dollars to Srila Prabhupada right there on the Vyasa side. Prabhupada so much appreciated. And then there was some hippie girl who came to Prabhupada with a flower. And Prabhupada was effusive in his gratitude, effusive. So after they asked him, like, oh, he gave you big donation. Prabhupada, I appreciate that. But she gave everything she had with all her heart. And he actually could have given more. He could have given more. But so all services are equal, and the best service is that which is done with pure devotional heart. Still, oftentimes Prabhupada would say, the service that pleases him the most is book distribution. He would emphasize books are the basis of the Sankirtan movement or Prabhupada's books. So he did particularly emphasize to distribute books. And so there were times in my devotional career, such as the Druze villages, where I was like 10, 12 hours per day involved in distributing Prabhupada's books in a direct way. So that's not so much my service anymore, or how I've arranged my life. So it was just a wonderful opportunity there at 8:30 at night to get to distribute a set of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. I didn't really distribute. I'm just like the inventory, I have it in stock. Because Mahanandini, she has someone who doesn't have a set in their house. She's the one who's distributing the book, but I got to play a part. I got to. So that was very purifying for me. Very, very, very purifying. So Shravanam Kirtanam. So we. It's described Shota Vyadani Rajendra Nunam Shanti Sastra Pashitam Atma Tattvam Griyeshu Griyamedinam. That's really the second verse that Shukadeva Goswami speaks when he starts speaking Bhagavatam. And he says that, okay, people in general have thousands and thousands of topics to discuss. And practically without exception, they're all a useless waste of time. Means they just entangle us further in Maya, in illusion. Because because such topics they're devoid of self-realization and Krishna consciousness. So the idea is not to just all stop talking, but the idea is to transfer the propensity to talk about this and that and gossip about this and that, transfer that propensity. Let me absorb myself in hearing and chanting, starting with the foundational service, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, chanting and sharing. It's Shravanam, Kirtanam, chanting and sharing through Kirtan, through Japa, through Srila Prabhupada's books, through distributing prasad. So thank you for listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. I welcome any questions, comments, or realizations at this time.
I just wanted to say, and I don't want to interject while you were saying it, when pigs fly.
Yeah.
Like, now I really appreciate that expression, because now it's like, yes, when pigs fly.
Yeah.
I know such a pig that flies.
We do. We got in the Bhagavatam. The
So now I love
pigs do fly.
I was like, now think that is like, when pigs fly, fantastic. I understand.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I really appreciate having the origin of where that came from.
Yeah.
And then just kirtan, we had a lot of kirtan yesterday at Prabhupada's house, really nice gathering, and Josie and Zeth were there as well. And so yeah, just appreciating the space that we were in and the energy, and yeah, it was really special. And so we're just feeling much appreciation for kirtan in all the different forms.
Very, yeah.
It wasn't just hearing, it was
We got to read it.
yeah,
We got to all read.
each person.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'll just go follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm deeply inspired by how you're pleasing Prabhupada at Prabhupada House with these creative, innovative, bold and innovative programs to create spaces for kirtan. When Pigs, thanks for that one. I'd never made that connection.
Immediately.
Another connection came to me. It's there's expression, the expression turtles all the way down. I don't know if you ever heard that. Turtles all the way down. There's and there's different traditions. Some American Indian traditions that the idea that the whole earth rests on the shell of a turtle. Okay, there's some turtle. Then of course the question is, okay, well, what's that turtle rest on? Well, a bigger turtle. And okay, right. So it's Vedic, and it's called the Korma avatar. It's Krishna appearing, an incarnation in the form of a grand tortoise. And so and the whole universe rests on the grand tortoise. And 8th canto, it's described there's some special pastime between the demigods and the demons, and Krishna appears as the tortoise. So there's another one.
Yeah. That's fun.
Hare Krishna. Recently I've been listening to several versions of Prabhupada's lecture on verse 410.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which year and what location, but there's one iteration of that lecture where the whole time he's talking about the importance of jnana and tapasya.
Yeah.
Right. And
sure.
As I listened to him talking about tapasya, and I was trying to understand, what I came to understand is it's the higher taste. It's sincerely, not through false repression.
Yeah.
Giving up lower taste for the higher taste.
Yeah.
So then my question is, if that's how you're describing sannyasi, what's the distinction between when a devotee gets initiated and they agree
Yeah.
To do the 4 regular principles, which are a type of tapasya,
They are, yeah.
and a sannyasi. What's the distinction?
Yeah, okay. Right. This, thanks for that. And to hear about your immersion in Srila Prabhupada's talks, Srila Prabhupada's vibration, that's purifying for the soul in amazing ways. Thank you. Yeah, so Jnana Vairagam, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Pujita Jana Yashu Vairagam Gyanam Chayana Hitukam, that by engaging in devotional service, one naturally gets knowledge. The essential knowledge is knowledge of the difference between the body and the soul, realized knowledge, and renunciation. Because when we engage in devotional service to Krishna, we naturally lose our taste. Or if we're trying to chase material pleasures or material security and like that. So it comes naturally. At the same time, it's not like, yes, I don't need to be concerned about doing austerities. It comes naturally in bhakti. Part of our process of bhakti is to gather knowledge in a spirit of bhakti. Like this morning, we were talking about the different types of incarnations, and it's complex, the Purusha avatars, the Vishnus. So it's not just like, because just like, okay, someone's like, okay, let's say a karmi, I collect fancy cars, or nice clothes, or money in the bank. Okay, so a jnani, it's a little more subtle, but it's the same idea. I collect knowledge and facts, and I can show off. Okay, I can collect knowledge and facts, but it's still material. So that propensity, to engage that propensity in a spirit of bhakti, in a spirit of increasing our devotion, and naturally by rising from morning devotional program, chanting Hare Krishna, offering flowers to Prabhupada, distributing Prabhupada's books, then naturally we become renounced. At the same time, in the spirit of bhakti, sure, we want to like, okay, perhaps this coming month, how can I regulate my eating more than last month? How can I sleep a little less in a way that's not damaging for the body? And yeah, let me, in a spirit of bhakti, not in a spirit of just hard-hearted, renunciation without the devotional spirit, we just become hard-hearted. That's not helpful. In fact, it can be move us in the opposite direction from bhakti. And so a sincere follower of Prabhupada, a devotee of Krishna, who at the time of formal initiation vows, actually, in Bhagavad Gita, we were talking about chapter 10, and Krishna says, amongst beasts, I am the lion, amongst bodies of water, I am the ocean. He says, yaginam japatapos, yaginam japat yagyosmi. He says, of sacrifices, I am the chanting of japa. That's chapter 10. So the vow, I'll chant at least 16 rounds per day for this lifetime. That's a yagya. It's a sacrifice, as is, I'll follow the regular principles. And again, to the extent that we develop the taste, then it feels more and more like a blissful sacrifice, not like have to. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say, this process of Krishna consciousness, it is singing, dancing, and feasting. It's a rough job, but someone has to do it. And we've all volunteered. Okay. So yeah. So that's the essence of sannyas. To give up the material enjoying spirit and devote ourselves to increase and expand the bliss of Krishna. And that's the essence of sannyas. Okay, then there's the formal taking of sannyas, which hopefully includes the essence, and it's centered on the essence. But there's many kind of sad, unfortunate situations where the formal taking of sannyas has been for very material reasons. People will respect me as a great spiritual person, I'll get the best prasad in the temple if I have sannyas. I'm not joking, unfortunately. So, again, beginning of chapter 6, Krishna talks about the essence of sannyas is to give up the enjoying spirit and direct our propensity for work. So right now we might, it's like this is the essence of sannyas, discussing this transcendental philosophy. Thanks for your question.
I have a question.
Yes, Josie.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for your remark on it's a prayer and it's the answer to the prayer. I really resonate with that piece. And I wanted to ask you, because in my process, I really trust. I think I have a lot of faith because I really trust that. Well, actually, before I say that, I just want to say thank you for the program yesterday, Anasuya and Rosa. Thank you for um, your your regular and frequent presence for participating in Bhakti and in my process. Thank you guys both.
Did you singing Lord Nishinga Day prayers while washing dishes last night?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Chapter 1. Yeah, Chad. Yes, she's. Oh my gosh, she was so passionate, and she did it so good. You did awesome. The whole energy filled the space quickly with your first word.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So inspiring.
Yeah, and so in part of my faith process, I think I really something it's always felt so binary. It's always felt like you must not do, we must not sin, we must not in the spiritual pursuit of things, we must um say no to the lower tastes, right? And I love hearing the way that that it's interpreted here in the like and by the way that Prabhupada describes it as the taste just naturally, the lower taste just naturally goes away.
Yeah.
Because I think that um that has probably been the antidote to my striving and this like perfectionism, is to trust the process and trust that if I um just engage in conscious awareness with my lower tastes, and that if I do so while keeping in mind my choice to devote myself to Krishna, and and my values of being able to do that in this form as well as I can, that these tastes will naturally fade, um and no longer serve me. And so I really trust the process. Um and yet sometimes I question um whether my reaching for the mantra is a and reaching for prayer is a form of bypassing. But I also know, like, I feel that I might be able to find those distinctions, but I I wonder about that, because sometimes it feels like the more proper way to engage, or not that there's a more proper way, but like that rather than read more scripture, where I might actually just be like reading parts of scripture that aren't even relevant because I'm not aware, or like rather than praying mantra, that I might be better off like really going into like the weeds, right? Like really
The
weeding
weeds, the pain, the shadow, to be with that, to experience that.
the actual, not just to even, yeah, like not even just to be with it, not just to feel it, to heal it, but like to
Yeah.
now more skillfully move on from it. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I felt that pain, but like, what did I learn from that? And like, how can I do better next time? And I think that sometimes that requires some studying and some, and my intention when I go to those weeds or to those types of readings and is to is it is a devotion, right? There is a deep there is
Yes.
a deeper part of me that just wants to show up as a better human. So I th- I think that even though it's not directly serving, for example, an altar of Prabhupada, or like, um it's not directly engaging in philosophical discussion, like
Mhm.
that, it is still serving Krishna. And I'm
Yes.
curious about
Yes.
these things. So thank you for listening.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Josie. Um, thanks for that. And what you shared, based on my realizations, completely aligned with Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. What you're sharing, it really, for me, it really personally relates to a lot of our inspiration, motivation for us to develop what became known as the Sofitel programs. And yeah, a week from now we'll be on day 2 of the Sofitel Advanced Seminar, and and so this, whether foundational seminar, advanced seminar, Sofitel 3, it all relates to what you're sharing. I mentioned earlier in the discussion Srila Rupa Goswami, and so part of his teachings is he gives a metaphor, because this whole idea of pulling the weeds, where does that come from? Well, it really comes from Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Rupa Goswami, chapter 19, Majjhila Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's an elaborate metaphor of, and it's the analogy of the garden. It's the analogy of the garden. And just like the garden of the heart, the garden of the consciousness, so the process of self-realization. Yeah, so to pull the weeds and see, yeah, what's a deception, what's a grungy, what's authentic in a spirit of bhakti. Otherwise, if we don't have the spirit of bhakti, even if we do pulling the weeds, we'll have like a desert. We won't have the flowers of devotion, and we won't have the weeds. So to cultivate knowledge and cultivate, we're meant to be introspective in the path of bhakti. And that's what I noticed going back to early 1980s in many of the devotional communities, and I'm certainly not saying I'm immune from this, there would be a lot of focus on the watering. What are the flowers? Yeah, great. And then an integral part of the process, a non-optional part of the process, is you need to pull the weeds. Otherwise, if we do the watering and we don't pull the weeds, and then the water will go to the weeds, and the weeds will strangle the flowers.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's like if I'm not even noticing my weed of wanting to be superior and needing, out of insecurity, I need to try to show that I'm superior, and I become arrogant, then even, and then every mantra I chant, every time, every Bhagavatam verse I memorize, it waters the weeds. Huh. Well, I got up early. What time did you get up? Every mantra I chant just is further proof of how much more spiritual I am than you. I'm just giving this as an example. So yeah, so watering the weeds, it's not, so pulling the weeds, it's not optional. And it's not just, oh, because you do some psychology courses. No, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Bhagavad Gita. And I saw in many devotional communities, that whole part of the process of bhakti, it's not like something that could maybe help bhakti. It's an integral part, just like watering and pulling. It was neglected. And then there was all these like forests of weeds in the hearts and the communities. And that was a big part of my motivation and that's why really till about 2003, almost all of what was the Safito programs, almost anyone who came to it, they were identifying in some way as a practitioner of bhakti, starting about 20 some years ago. More and more came from, those who didn't identify as like a chant or a mantra or things like that. And of course, it's a universal process. So yeah, to pull the weeds and to be introspective, and that's yeah, it's not separate from bhakti. We're meant to do it in a spirit to enhance our self-realization, enhance our devotion, and to clear out any weeds that are clogging the pure garden. And so I appreciate what you shared. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I would like to expand on that, Josie. So, if I may relate to what you said, and many times in my life, I think I've got the thing, right? Like based in childhood trauma, based in this, based in that, and then I would perceive myself ending one situation, entering into another situation, and having the same experience again, and thinking, why am I doing this, right? Like, how do I perform better? How do I become a better human being and not create the same situation for myself over and over again? I was having a conversation with Lakshmi Priya about um, a lecture. I think it was Prabhupada's lecture on chapter 2, verse 62 through 72. And in that, he talks about how in this life, like the child who's breaking things and they're not thinking about what they're doing, they're just enjoying it, but they're just breaking things. He says he sees it within our society like a perfectly good building is torn down and they build another one, just almost the same, right? And he's like, in this way, in this world, to the extent that we're not focusing on Krishna, we're only breaking and building, breaking and building, breaking and building. And what that made me think of is I'm doing that in my life. The quote about unless we make the unconscious conscious, um, it will direct our lives and we'll call it fate. So when you haven't gotten to the root, in order to pull it, you will continue to have the same experience over and over again. And so I have an even better metaphor that I just think about. I was helping with someone's yard, and their azaleas were overrun with weeds that were growing into trees. And so the azaleas were getting cut, and in that the trees were getting cut. So they're all the azaleas and these trees are all mixed up. I went through and I took all of that out. And at one point I was exploring the yard and I'm like, what is this like tree here? And I'm looking at it and it's like it's big. And it's a situation where azaleas got overgrown. They're in there, but nobody cut it. And now it's become all these like weeded trees. It became a thicket and the azaleas are nearly dead. So in one instance, that's where, no maintenance was done at all. The weeds weren't cut. And then the other azaleas, it was like the maintenance of always having to cut and always having to cut. So if we just cut the weeds and we don't get them by their root, they come back and back and back and back.
Yeah.
And it will continue to be that maintenance that could be very frustrating because you continue to get the same result if you don't get it from the root. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhakti Rose.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Well, okay, the language you used, Rosa, it's very similar, reminiscent of a particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning of 6th canto. And beginning of 6th canto, okay. So 5th canto has actually like really like 10 chapters of Vedic cosmology and cosmography. And towards the closure, there's descriptions of different hellish mental conditions, really tormenting, hellish, torturous conditions that the living entity can create through acting in ways that are terribly alienating to the self. Okay, so at the beginning of 6th canto, Maharaj Parikshit, he asks Sukadeva Goswami, he says, like, so how can we like avoid all that? Like, yeah, I don't want to experience that. I don't want others. How can we avoid that? So Shukadeva Goswami is in the role of teacher, and he gives some incomplete or even kind of wrong and bad answers deliberately, and that's fairly common. It's fairly common in Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the one in the role of teacher will give like a misleading answer, or an answer that's like, no, they're testing the student. So Maharaj Pariksit, yeah, he says like, oh yes, well, through the varnashram, through taking sannyas, that's the way. That's the way to avoid, acting in these ways that will just lead to hellish conditions. So Maharaj Pariksit says, nah, I don't accept that. No, that's just external. And then he gives like a few layers of answers. Another example of this is Chapter 8 of the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the discussion between Srila Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the role of Krishna himself, he takes the role of student. And Ramananda Roy, he's a householder, he's a politician, just like very materially engaged. And he's a pure devotee of Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya asks him, like, what's the ultimate goal of human life? And it's varnashram, and it gives like 4 or 5 levels of answers, and each time Lord Chaitanya is, oh, that's nice, but no, that doesn't really get. And it unfolds into this very rich nectarian discussion. So the teacher sometimes doesn't give the right or complete answer to test the student. So Maharaj said, and at some point, at some point, Shukadeva Goswami says the process of prayaschita, that you counteract the negative karmic reactions through this process and that process. But then Maharaj said, no, that's not going to get at the root. It's not going to get at the root. And then ultimately, Shukadeva, then that whole section of Bhagavatam, there's many, many lectures from Srila Prabhupada on that section of Bhagavatam. He says, ultimately, tasmat sankirtana, Vishnu is ultimately to engage in kirtan, to engage in chanting and hearing, accompanied by pulling the weeds in a devotional spirit, along with kirtan, shravanam, kirtanam. Okay, because then that will pull out the desire to engage in activities that are alienating to the self and that interfere with the soul's natural loving bhakti. Otherwise, we can clip the weeds, and there's different processes, religious processes, philosophical process to clip the weeds, but they're gonna just grow up again because the desire is still there until we transform the very quality of our desire. And that's this process of Shravanam Kirtan integrated with sincere pulling the weeds from the garden of the heart. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for your presence.
Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you, Mama Chandra. Hare Krishna.